You know how no parent can think their child is ugly? I feel like you might...
This is my ugly child?
I feel like you might have an ugly kid.
TriStar Pictures announces the collaboration of three extraordinary talents. Jim Henson, creator of The Muppets and Dark Crystal.
Where you go with a head like that?
George Lucas, creator of the Star Wars saga. And one of the most innovative forces in modern entertainment, David Bowie. Together, they will take you into a dazzling world of fantasy and adventure.
There's nothing to be afraid of.
A world where anything seems possible, and nothing is what it seems.
Everything I've done for you. I move the stars for no one. Run so long, run so far.
The world of Labyrinth.
Let's get a few things straight here,
Okay.
Jim.
Yeah.
I will not take any slander,
Okay.
any libel
Okay.
of my childhood favorite, this absolutely perfect children's movie.
So please let us start with that. How many times have you seen this?
I mean, I'm going off a ballpark number, but I'd put it in the vicinity of probably 30 over the
Okay.
span of my life, and a few of those being in the last, 5 to 10 years.
Okay.
Mhm.
This was number one for me.
Yeah, number one viewing in your mid 30s. What are you thinking? What are you feeling?
I kind of want to get your views first. Like,
Okay.
is there something I'm missing? Because as far as like, I don't know. Like, I was trying to think of how I would describe the plot to someone.
Yeah.
And so then I just wonder if there's just something glaring that I'm missing, or is it just you take it at face value? It's Jim Henson.
Mm-hmm.
It's David Bowie.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
Yeah. I mean, as a kid, all you need is, it's Muppets. It's Muppet characters. It's songs. It's ridiculousness from top to bottom. And there's not much more to it. And then you get this song, Magic Dance, that
Yep.
just earworms itself into your brain for 30 years and never leaves. So up until recent years, I put it on for no good reason. I've pretty much ruined other people's days just by putting this song on because it brings me
Really?
enjoyment. I'm not ruining their days, but it's bringing me more joy than it's bringing
that
everyone
wasn't
else.
the part I was incredulous about. But you would just put it on.
Yeah, that
so
song.
you were a fan. You are a fan. This
10 out
is
of 10.
firmly
No notes.
entrenched. Okay.
Shortest episode ever.
Okay.
Let's start at the top. Let's take it from the top, and then we can work our way through through your issues because I simply just have none.
Okay.
All right, let's take it from the top.
Taglines and plots. I mean, we just watched the trailer, so it dropped one or two of them. But 16-year-old Sarah is given 13 hours to solve a labyrinth and rescue her baby brother Toby. That's my one note. Toby's a terrible name for a baby. You got to
And
say
that's
that name
his
for when
actual
you're 40.
name too.
Yeah.
That's the
That's
the
perfect.
character, like the character and the actor's name. They're
Perfect.
just like,
Then
oh hey
fine.
Toby.
Hey, your name's Toby? Let's stick with it.
And-
Her baby brother Toby, when her wish for him to be taken away is granted by the Goblin King Jareth. So, pretty straightforward. Nothing left to the imagination. The other tagline I found was where everything seems possible and nothing is what it seems. That's a little more, feeds into the fantasy element of the feature film.
Yeah.
Do you have a plot done poorly for me?
I have a few. So one I have if I was describing this plot to adults, and another if I was
Perfect.
describing it to kids. So the plot for adults, Jim Henson took acid and passed out while listening to David Bowie. This is what he dreamt.
I don't disagree with that.
Okay.
Still no notes on my movie.
Okay, plot for kids.
Mm-hmm.
A girl wishes her baby brother was gone and then changes her mind and tries to save him from goblins.
Yeah.
The actual plot that I wrote after watching this: an overly dramatic 16-year-old girl tries to make up for being a terrible sister by saving her infant brother from the very goblins that she asked to take him away.
Yeah, all are accurate. See, here's my issue with this: is that all these are accurate. Yet none of them sway me from my love.
And that's what I had. That's what I said to you earlier. I said I feel like I'm going to make some points, and you'll be like, "That's not true," or "That's not untrue."
Right.
And so this is. I was thinking about this today. You know how no parent can think their child is ugly? I feel like you might.
This is my ugly child.
I feel like you might have an ugly kid, like just a filthy.
And you know what?
child.
I look at her for what she is. She's beautiful to me. A face only a mother could love. She's Labyrinth. That's my Labyrinth. That's my little girl.
Little Labby.
My little Labby. My plot done poorly is David Bowie's package is on full display while some Muppets dance around or whatever. I don't know. I couldn't look away from David's Bowie.
Yeah, I also comment on his package quite a few times.
And it isn't like, oh, the first outfit, like they missed it. It is prominently on display the entire film.
Yeah, and I don't know. I was trying to get the proper term. Is moose knuckles just when it's the balls, or is it the entire? Because this is like the silhouette. Everything is shrink wrapped and like. And
there for you.
Here it is.
Again, I like to think that these were all just David Bowie's outfits. You just had don't worry about
the makeup. He came ready to go.
Yeah,
you're like, oh, actually, you look like fine.
This is just how you look. All right, I guess let's start rolling. All right, fine. So where you can watch this is Netflix. That's where it is currently.
Yep.
Rating is PG, which holds up because I only caught one hell and one damn.
Few dams.
I
got a comment on that. That was in my problematic.
Okay.
Hoggle goes.
Oh, Hoggle.
He goes full dam.
Yeah.
But other than that, very innocent. Yeah. And so much of the language is either like nonsensical or slurred, where like you really got to pay attention to make out any words anyway.
Yeah. Our first 80s flick, which again, this comes really, really down to our childhood. Runtime is about an hour and 41 minutes, which as much as I wanted to have no notes for this movie, probably the one is, in the last 20 or 30 minutes, I felt it start to drag a little.
Oh yeah? Did you feel it at the end? Yeah, just at the end.
I'm talking about my little Labby, my little sweetheart, and she's beautiful the way she is. But if I have to make a note,
maybe a little long in the tooth.
So our first episode on a movie where the gross did not meet the budget.
And I looked this time because, again, you're just gonna have to deal with me ripping on your love.
That's fine.
25 mil. Is what the budget was,
That's
and
a
it
lot
brought
of money.
in 13.
Listen, this the Labyrinth is a grower, not a shower, if you will. This is the kind of movie
it ages like a fine wine. Is that what you're talking? Leave it in the cellar? Is that what I'm hearing?
When I saw the budget, I was kind of taken aback because I think that's probably one of the higher budgets for a movie we've seen. Where I was like, "Whoa!"
I wrote down at one point, this movie cost $25 million in
the 80s too. So,
but the set pieces are all enormous, crazy.
Yes.
The Muppet costumes, all of that.
Yeah.
I mean, one of those scenes. Oh, Dance Magic.
Oh,
that's the one you were talking about.
Dance, yeah.
So that scene alone consisted of over 48 Muppets, 52 puppeteers, and 8 people in goblin costumes. So that alone was probably like tens of thousands of dollars just to orchestrate.
Yeah.
And that's not happening in one take.
No,
that's probably an all-day thing.
Right.
So honestly, the more that I watched it, I was like, okay, this is a crazy experience.
You could see when you see the number at first, you go, how could they spend that? And then you watch and you go, oh, I could see how they spent that.
100%.
Yeah.
Like this could be an amusement park ride. Yeah. It's just like a full immersive experience.
It's an amusement park ride of a movie.
Yeah. A shitty one.
Well, this is where you're wrong. Because Rotten Tomatoes, 74%. IMDb, 7.4%. They're actually spot on the exact same rating. And they're in agreement with me, so you can feel free to apologize whenever you need to.
I can't wait till we do a movie that you have never seen and I love, because I want to get the reverse of this.
And it will happen.
But I'm watching dumbfounded. Yeah. Just like, what on earth is happening?
Joy, Jim. It's for the first time in your life.
I don't know that was the word I felt.
So, well then, this is where I'll turn. So where Rotten Tomatoes and IMDb stood firmly on my side,
Raj?
A good friend of ours, Roger Ebert, he went over he crossed the line to your neck of the woods here. 2 out of 5 stars. And for the rating he gives it, the description, I was waiting for him to eviscerate it, and he really doesn't. I mean, this is what he says. Labyrinth is a movie that obviously was made with infinite care and pains, and it began with a real inspiration. Why not create a fantasy out of some of the drawings of M.C. Escher, who is famous for visual paradoxes such as a room with staircases that go up in every possible direction? The movie is an impressive production that is often good to look at. Some real thought went into it, and the David Bowie soundtrack is fine, yet there's something missing. It never really comes alive. One other problem is that the movie is too long, which, okay, fine. Without a strong plot line to pull us through, all movies like this run the danger of becoming just a series of incidents. There's no structure to the order of the adventure. Sarah does this, she does that, she's almost killed here, almost trapped there, until at last nothing much matters. Great energy and creativity went into the construction, production, and direction of this movie, but it doesn't have a story that does justice to the production. I mean...
This might be the only time in my life I agree with Roger Ebert.
Okay.
Spot on. Because, okay, and let me preface this all with I love Jim Henson. Mm-hmm. Love him.
And George Lucas and Terry Jones.
Everything
this is
that is happening,
production cast.
I love the idea. Mm-hmm. Throwing David Bowie into it in the 80s, I'm sure people are just like, oh my
it's God, a home run.
This is...
How does lose?
This is Christmas.
Yeah.
I watched all the Muppet documentaries I could find. Muppet Guys Talking. I paid for that documentary and watched it. Being Elmo. Watched that too. Mm-hmm. The Muppet movie with Jason Segel and Amy Adams. I watched it with you in your apartment and was howling with laughter. So to preface all this, like, I love the Muppets.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
The issues with this movie is it makes no sense. It's totally nonsensical.
Why do you need sense in a movie, Jim? Just be amazed.
There's no...
enveloped in wonderment.
The plot, if you can even call it that, falls apart from the jump. And then at the end, she just says, you don't have power over me. And then the movie just ends.
That's when she's found... Listen, it's not about the destination. It's the journey, Jim. And
Which was pointless.
Well, have you done a Labyrinth before? Have you done a maze? By the end of it, you're like, who gives a shit about this thing anyways? So it's truly the experience of doing a maze.
All right. Then, and that's what I honestly want you to answer some of these questions. I have so many questions that I'm just like, what am I missing here? Yeah. And maybe the answer is just like, oh, no, that's it. Mm-hmm. Don't think too hard about it.
Mm-hmm. Because, again, the first time you experience this movie should not be in your 30s. It should be when you're 6 years old and you're not thinking past the point of music, Muppets, David Bowie's dong. That's all you need.
This movie reminded me, oddly enough, of Requiem for a Dream the first time I watched it, which has Jennifer Connelly in both.
True.
So it was trippy.
Yeah.
It was like, what am I watching?
Yeah.
What is happening? Mm-hmm. I'm confused, and I want to go home.
Okay.
And that's how I felt.
I'm with you the whole way until the end where I say, I'm here. Let's play it again. Take it from the top.
Do some drugs.
So I will say, speaking, let's take it from the top. So watching this again, which I said I've watched this in within the last 5 years, but watching it with under the microscope for the episode, it really brought back some memories. Starting from the top, I forgot how terrifying the owls were to me when I was little. Every time the owls came in through the window, even from the beginning, the CGI owls were ridiculous to watch again now. But when the owl comes in the beginning through the window, like the first time you see Jareth, that was like. After that point, I was like, well, I'm just scared of owls now because they're going to go busting through a window at some point and someone's going to come take me away.
And maybe that's part of it too. Like with Wizard of Oz, the people that are scared of the flying monkeys,
right?
It's like flying monkeys the entirety of this movie.
Yeah.
This is a terrifying movie.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It really is. And I wrote down that, so apparently the owl at the beginning, the CGI, that was like the first attempt at CGI.
I mean... I could see that. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, looking at it now, like oh, that looks silly. But back then, I'm sure that blew everyone's
mind. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Like, it's clearly computer, but for the time frame.
Right, yeah.
And so I saw it was nominated for 4 awards: Best Visual Effects, Best Fantasy Film, Best Costumes, Best Dramatic Presentation.
Okay.
Do you know how many of those it won?
Well, because you're
Goose
telling
egg. Goose egg, Nick. 0.
not even the visual effects awards.
And that shocked. So that's what shocked me.
Yeah.
Like the parts that you're saying are scary, and
Yeah.
those are the parts that I actually thought gave the movie like merit. Where
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, this is.
You're
that's-
watching a Jim Henson movie. At the very least,
Yeah.
like even if this movie sucks, like I'm watching production value at its top,
It's still
at the top of its game.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
impressive. Like the raw talent that
Yeah.
it took to pull this off is absolutely impressive.
Yeah, I would love to watch a documentary on the making of this movie because I'm sure it was an ordeal.
So they do talk about it in Being Elmo.
Okay.
That was Kevin Clash, who is Elmo.
Mm-hmm.
That was his first gig.
Wow.
Jim Henson asked him to be in the movie. And so he was like, well, yeah, I can't
Yeah.
say no to him. So in the Fireys scene,
Yep.
that was his first take.
Wow.
And I watched that part of Being Elmo again to like get it
Yeah.
after I watching this movie.
Yeah.
And he was talking about how it took 28 takes to do where the guy or the one Fiery like rolls his eyes on the ground, says snake eyes, puts them back in his mouth, and they just couldn't get it.
Yeah.
And so they nominated Kevin Clash to go up to Jim Henson and say, this isn't working. And so Kevin is like, and I can see he's looking at me with this blank stare on my face, like, I don't care what you're saying.
Right.
Like, so we're doing this.
Right.
And so Kevin is like, so it's just, it's not, we'll do it. We're going to figure it out.
Yeah.
It's happening. Obviously we'll do it today. He just did a total 180. And then the next take, they nailed it. So
Wow.
it took 29 takes to do that one scene.
Wow. So imagine that whole movie of that. Yeah.
Right. Like none of this looks simple.
Right.
It's all overly complicated
Right.
stuff.
Well, and from the beginning, I wrote, there's so much Bowie, yet there's not enough Bowie. I need more. I need less Bowie and I need more Bowie all at the same time. There's just Bowie all over, and I need more of him in it. Right from the beginning, you get the soundtrack. Then eventually you see him. So when he's not in a scene, you hear him, and when you hear him, and when you're not hearing his music, there he is. So it's Bowie from top to bottom.
This might be a good time to point out my least favorite character in the movie. Do you want to guess who it is?
Don't you dare say Jareth.
It's fucking Jareth. And I wrote down, Jareth spends 90% of the movie watching and smirking and or looking indifferent. He doesn't do anything.
And yet
he holds a
does
baby.
everything. He's omnipresent, Jim. He is there and he's not there. I did so I kind of, there's stuff about this movie I obviously forgot, and one of the things was right from the beginning we get another evil stepmother, or at least the idea of that. They don't like
Is
the stepmom.
she
She's not.
evil?
No. But she says, why am I the evil step? Or she makes a reference to her being the evil stepmother.
Yeah.
And here we are, another movie where stepmom, significant other is the boyfriend, the girlfriend, evil.
Okay, but what does she do that's evil again?
I'm not saying she is. I'm saying there's an inference
Because
to
she's
her being
not.
evil. Yes.
Because Sarah is like, you guys always make me babysit Toby. And she goes, if you have plans, you're off the hook. You don't have to watch him. Well, how do you know I don't have plans? Do you? That's not the point.
I need to go cast my brother off to a goblin land. Please leave me be.
So I'm just going to jump in
Please.
from the jump. She is in a field, I guess like practicing lines or reciting a book or something, this Labyrinth book.
Yeah.
Are we supposed to infer that this is a well-known book or it's a real book?
I mean, I think the assumption is, it's not something she wrote. It's nothing made up. It's some piece of literature that she is reciting.
And so I guess that's my problem. Other movies where they're like, oh, this land is magical, or this house is haunted, or these things are happening. That's never really established. It's just like her with a random book. She's reciting obscure words, but it's not like we saw the text or someone was like, be careful with this book. It holds powers. You don't know. Like nothing is ever established of this is serious, take it seriously, or there's magic you don't understand. Something. Like I feel like there's a missing scene.
So you need less book or you need more book?
I need explanation of book. Like someone, like a grandparent being like,
You need a princess bride.
hold this carefully, Sarah.
Come, let me read you a story that we thought. Yeah.
Or like passing it down through the generations and she's into it or whatever. But there was never anything. So she just starts saying words and you're like, this girl's crazy or a drama geek or I don't know. But what is happening?
Doesn't matter.
You're casting your brother off to a Goblin King?
Still no issues. I don't know. Listen, I hear words coming out of your mouth, but I simply do not have any patience for it. So onto the movie. Right, right when the goblins are shown from the beginning, immediately I am like, oh my God, what Jim, I'm so excited for Jim to experience true joy and pleasure and a child's wonder in this film. And it happened. And whether or not you choose to acknowledge it, I know that you enjoyed this movie.
Oh.
I will say, right early on, Sarah's in the room. She's mad at Toby. She's about to wish him off to the
how
goblin.
dare a baby cry?
But that crying was stressing me out. Like, please just either cast him off already or, come comfort this baby, because the endless crying. Anytime now I hear too much crying in a movie or on TV, I'm like, it hits a note where I'm like, we need to get through this part because it's someone help the damn kid. I'm getting annoyed now. And then finally the goblins take him away. But I love when Sarah comes back in the room and says, "Why aren't you crying?" to the baby? Of course, not expected to
Answer
get
me.
Answer me, child. Toby, not an actual baby's name. But then we get, like I said, we get the rain, the owl coming through the window, the goblins, Jareth. Like that was all like. While I loved this movie as a kid, there are definitely parts of this movie that are like, I don't know what the similar experience would be, is watching a movie as a kid that you both are scared of and also love. I don't know what I would compare that to for any of our kids. I can't
It's
think
like
of
a horror movie where you keep, or like a roller coaster, like you
Yes.
just keep going back.
Yes, that's what this
part of the
experience was. Yeah, that is part of the thrill for sure.
For you.
For
you
me.
mean.
Mhm.
Got it. Okay.
And still to this day.
Good.
But
Mine
you're
was
scared that
like,
you'll love it. I think your fear is in that you will actually enjoy this film.
I'm trying to think of the feeling that I had. It's like food poisoning when it's coming out of both ends.
All right. Anyway, so what? So Bowie takes the baby, but
yeah.
But he's not a bad guy. He doesn't leave Sarah empty-handed. He tries to give her some sort of orb that turns into a snake, that turns into a cloth.
So maybe I missed it, and I was concerned because you've seen this so many times.
Mm-hmm.
I was concerned you were gonna like reference a scene, and I'd be like, "Oh, what dancing scene with the Muppet are you referring to?"
Mm-hmm.
Like they all kind of blend together.
Sure.
But I do have some very real questions.
Yes.
And I'm hoping maybe you can answer them. Maybe this will help me with my enjoyment.
If they're with negativity or malice,
It's
I will
it's
choose
just
not to
an
answer them.
honest question. Fair enough. Why and what does Jareth want with these babies?
I think he's like a pre-Jigsaw. He's just there for the game. He's for the love of the game. He's there to terrorize and to put children in scenarios where they have to play the game and rescue their kids. He's a bit of a bad guy. He's not. I'm not.
A little impish?
Yeah.
Like, so, because he's pretty gentle with Toby.
Yeah.
He's holding him. He's
an enigma because he begins this game where he's taking Toby and he's involving Sarah in a quest to find Toby, but then he's being gentle with Toby, and then he's also kind of falling for Sarah, which that brings its own issues. We will get to that.
Okay.
It's not without its faults, but so the real reason is that there is no reason. It's just this is who he is, and he comes and he takes babies when people wish them away.
Okay.
I'm here to play the devil.
So he's fulfilling wishes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
He's a bit of an 80s Santa Claus.
Okay. And then why does Sarah have 13 hours to find her brother?
So there is, I can skip to trivia. There is meaning to that.
Okay.
Which is not explained, but there's a ton of good trivia and facts for this movie.
Okay.
And this is one of them. It says the 13-hour margin has a symbolic meaning. It was not arbitrary. Sarah made her wish around midnight. This is the most powerful time when demons, goblins, and other malevolent creatures can cross their dimension and enter the earthly realm. Moreover, according to folklore, there is a time rift between midnight and 1 o'clock a.m., which is the nominal 13th hour. In order for this time circumvention to be activated, something jarring and horrible must happen, just like Sarah's wish. So there is, I think, as much as there is, from your viewing experience, like this is nonsense.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of like this is pulled from like they're deliberately choosing this nonsense.
And that makes sense. That explanation makes sense.
Yeah.
I just think then the execution is flawed.
Yeah.
Because her dad and stepmom leave at 7. So Toby's crying for 5 hours?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You've never left your baby crying for 5 hours?
Oh, no, I have.
Yeah.
It's surprising that she would.
She did that too. I thought that was just a me thing. Yeah. That it falls apart a little bit there. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then I have that too as like my question at the end of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
So then the parents get home.
Mm-hmm.
After midnight? You left your 16-year-old daughter alone with a newborn, and you came home after midnight. And he doesn't just come home and like, hey, honey, we're home. He shouts, loudly announcing that they're home and asking if Sarah's home, which that's a weird question to ask.
Toby, are you up there? Is Sarah home?
Hey, Sarah, are you still home watching the baby that we asked you to watch? Oh, you're home. Okay, good.
I mean, I assumed you were, but you didn't want to cramp
But
your
thank
style.
goodness.
Yeah.
It seems problematic.
It was the 80s, Jim. It was a different time. It was a wild time. Much more Bowie then.
And then does time pass differently in the Labyrinth? Like, does time stand still?
It seems like with that explanation it would, because it's not a whole day went by.
Yeah.
So I think time does stand still.
Because like obviously it's not 13 hours later where they're like, oh, it's 1 PM.
Right,
Toby's
exactly.
been sitting in his crib for 18 hours.
Yeah.
crying.
Exactly. Yeah. I think that checks out there.
All right. See, it's not, some of this is just a desire to understand.
I'm here for educational purposes, so please explain to me what the hell this movie is, essentially. Yeah. Okay. Fine.
And then I have a few more questions. Was the baby who played Toby scarred for life? Follow up. How many days a week does he currently seek therapy?
I think, and my hope is that he was so young that he doesn't remember any of this. But there's more trivia facts in that regard where they couldn't get him to stop crying. Because I'm sure it was so horrifying.
I saw that too. Do you have that on hand?
I don't, so feel free.
I have one that he screamed so much during the scene on David Bowie's lap that David Bowie had a glove puppet named Sudi, and it was out of shot to distract Toby, and it kept him quiet. So it played into the plot where like, oh, he's trying to make him happy.
Yeah.
He had to, I think, because all these terrifying creatures that were dancing around him and singing.
We were all Toby a little bit. It's a bit of the viewing experience. You're terrified, you're happy, you're dancing. You're experiencing the whole emotional spectrum, Jim.
Okay.
So we're introduced to Hoggle. Great introduction. He's pissing in the stream.
Yeah.
Great off the top.
A little problematic.
You're getting a good sense of Hoggle, is that he's a bit gross.
He's a peer.
And he's not pee shy. He's just letting it rip. He doesn't care who's around.
Yep. No stage fright whatsoever.
Self-confident little guy he is. But I always, if I've ever come across anyone who's seen this movie, if we are reminiscing on scenes of this movie, that is one of them. Top 3 or top 5. It always comes up as like Hoggle pissing in the stream. I don't know why, but that's your first introduction.
It's like a little koi pond.
Yeah.
You couldn't find anywhere else to go, guy.
Listen, he's got fairies to kill. He's got a busy job.
So Cam has requested to watch this several times since we initially viewed it.
You're welcome.
And the first 10 minutes in, he had his hands over his eyes, and Kristen's asking him, "Do you want to turn it off?" And he's like, "No." And then I look at Carter, and Carter's just like mortified. But they kept wanting to watch.
Yeah.
So
you can't turn away. It's like a car accident.
It's a total car accident.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then the fairy scene with Hoggle right out of the gates.
Yeah.
And they bite Sarah. Mm-hmm. And then Cam goes, "Why are the fairies biting?" And I'm like, I don't know. Every question he asks me, I'm like, I don't know. Why is the bog farting? The Bog of Eternal Stench? I don't know.
It's all there just for fun and silliness and enjoyment.
Do real bogs do that? Nope, they don't.
In my mind, they do, because this is the movie that shaped my young little brain. So any bog I come across is a Bog of Eternal Stench.
You don't want to stump it?
No,
you can't step in that.
I will not get caught. I won't even go by it. I can't. I won't be able to stand it.
You're not going to get rid of that smell ever.
So I don't know that I ever realized that Terry Jones of Monty Python had a hand in taking the first pass of the script and then going back at it to add jokes. I
didn't know that.
So then rewatching it, thinking that, I was like, it does feel like
Monty Python.
Yeah, there's definitely the British like sense of
some
humor.
of the puns.
Yeah,
for
just the quickness and like some of the stuff that made me laugh the hardest was like off screen, just like chatter and conversation. So that once I knew that, I was like, okay, that I feel like it does check out a little bit more.
And I think because there are so many characters, you have the opportunity for that. Like everything is alive. So whether it's like door knockers or things hidden underneath the sidewalk or whatever, like everything has an opportunity to just make a little aside or a one-liner.
Yep.
So those parts are fine. It was much like Monty Python. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's my dumb American ears, but some of the stuff I'm like, I have no clue what they just said. Or these song and dance sequences.
Yeah. I did watch it with headphones on,
Like,
so
I
probably watching
understood
in a normal experience, I would have missed
three
stuff.
of those words of what the fiery scene.
Yeah.
I heard maybe one full sentence in that whole exchange. I
Again,
don't even
you
know
don't
what
need to
they
know
said.
what's going on, Jim. You just watch and you just enjoy.
Okay. Well,
And Magic Dance as a song just fucking absolutely slaps. It is so good. I crank that on a Saturday morning making pancakes. That is my shit, man. Still holds up. I will say, speaking of things that are being said that we may not understand what's going on, one of the little tile changer guys pops up at a certain point to fool Sarah.
Yep.
And what I picked up as him saying is, your mother is a friggin' aardvark. And that there was one of those Monty Python, like, your father smelled of elderberries. Like, this is Monty Python. But again, I watched this with headphones on. So,
right.
So I think that is another way to watch this and be able to pick up on all the little asides.
Okay.
I thought Toby, I don't think it checks out because I did no more research after this, but I said, is Toby Oscar from Ghostbusters? Are they the same baby? Are they just two babies?
Totally different.
Okay.
And Oscar from Ghostbusters were twins, I believe. And this Toby was actually just Toby.
Mm-hmm. Fine. I could just use my ignorance to say two babies just look alike. But when I saw Toby, I was like, hey, kind of.
And how many baby actors? That's got to be a tough role to fill.
Sure. Listen, Mom, Dad? Okay. Can you bring Toby? We're actually going to keep the name. We love the name. Stick to it. No notes there. Can you bring your baby into this set where there will be little goblins and giant creatures and things, and he probably will be terrified? Can he play that? Can he be natural? Can he have those emotions? Can he tap into that?
Especially in the 80s. I'm sure they're like, how long do you need him for? 6 months? Go for it.
Let it ride. You know what? We'll come back in 6 months. You give him back, and we'll just pick up the pieces after that. I laughed. This movie is so much funnier than I remember it being. I remember it being the music and all these things and being silly, but I laughed hard so many times this movie. Bowie launching Toby into the sky during the end of Magic.
We did comment on that too. Cam was like, he threw him really high in the air. Like, yeah,
like not a toss. Like, he's out of screen. He's out of.
Oh yeah.
He's out of shot to be caught
quite
again.
a throw.
So, but that's the roller coaster of this movie is you go from scenes like that are like scary and funny, and then you get to the helping hands, and that is another one of these like embedded in my mind as like I am fascinated but also terrified of what's going on, and I can't imagine how many times it took to film a scene like that with all the hands shifting into mouths and faces. Like,
and I wrote that down. I said the hands making faces in the pit Sarah fell into was something. It is impressive.
Yeah.
Like all the faces they make.
Yeah.
And that's what I don't. I feel like you're being overly defensive. Again, like I'm attacking your ugly child.
That ugly child's got a sense of humor, Jim.
There are things that I did enjoy about the movie, and I went into it wanting to like it.
Yeah.
I wasn't like some of these movies we've watched where I'm like, okay, this is going to be rough.
Yeah.
But this was, again, my first experience.
Sure.
So I'm taking it in just blindly. I didn't do any research beforehand. I knew it was Jim Henson. That's about it.
Yeah.
And so, yes, the hands making faces. And I will say, too, other than the moose knuckle, at the end, Jareth says, just fear me, love me, do as I say, and I will be your slave. I laughed at that because I don't think that's how slavery works. I could
that's
be
where
wrong.
he showed his true vulnerability.
wrong.
He has no power, and that's when Sarah realizes she's got all the power. She's got the cards here.
Yeah. He has no power over her.
She had it all along.
Completely negating the entire movie.
How else are you going to wrap a movie
But I
up
thought
like
it was
this?
funny.
Yeah.
I thought it
But it was a hoot.
unintentional maybe, but I thought that was a funny line.
I will say, connecting this to a previous episode, the Rookie of the Year, I didn't expect these two movies to connect. I thoroughly enjoyed them continually messing up Hoggle's name, like Rowan Gardner. There's several references of Hogwart and other names where no one could get Hoggle's name right. It was just, it's an easy gag, and I enjoyed it.
I heard Hogwart, but it was mostly from Harry Potter, thinking like, oh, they said Hogwart. I wonder if that
There's
was...
a few times they messed up his name. The Cleaners, which is that giant spinning blade thing that comes after them. Again, another terrifying memory that showed its face again.
And in a lot of movies too, like the whole going down the tunnel. Cam asked about that too. He's like, why is this happening? Like, well, it's trying to chop him up, I guess. I don't know.
Listen, not only does David Bowie not want them there, the maze itself doesn't want them there.
Yeah,
so
makes sense.
you gotta conquer the whole experience. Hoggle drops a line after the cleaners goes by and they're climbing up the ladder. He says to Sarah, "You have to understand my position. I'm a coward, and Jareth scares me." And I had a good burst out laugh.
And that too is like, okay, I understand what his mindset is.
Yeah.
So, because why is he helping her?
Right.
Why not?
Yeah.
And then is he going to betray her? Well, if he needs to.
Yeah.
Because
he just kind of goes with the wind.
He's terrified.
Whoever's helping him out at that time. I think just half of this viewing experience is, like you said, there's so many characters that are just the production that went into making all of them. I'm just like fascinated by everyone. It's like a painting that came to life that you're just like in. And every time a character pops up, I'm like, I forgot about them. And this is me watching a movie from my childhood where I'm going, it's him. Like, hey, it's all my old friends again.
They're coming back.
Here's the wise man. The bird on his head looks like a penis. There he is. That's my guy.
And I liked him. I thought that he was fun. He's one of my favorite characters. I didn't know his name.
Frank Wiseman, played by Frank Oz.
And do you know who Frank Oz has voiced over the years?
I knew the name, and then I go, well, let me look up, and I just saw it. Go ahead, take the list.
Cookie Monster, Grover, Bert, Fozzie Bear, Animal, Miss Piggy, and frickin' Yoda.
A legend.
Wow.
That's what I'm saying. This movie lacks no power. They pulled no punch in this movie. But the wise men again, so many characters that got brought back into my periphery again that I enjoyed.
Can I tell you my favorite character?
Please.
Ludo.
Do you know there's a band, Ludo? Were you ever familiar with that? There's a band back in the name Ludo. Yeah, he's a sweetheart.
I described him as half bear, half orangutan, half water buffalo.
Perfect. When you said orangutan, I was like, absolutely. His fur is absolutely orangutan. Yeah.
And the face, but also he's got horns. So I added in the water buffalo at the end. He's fun. He reminds me more of a Muppet. He's not terrifying. Yeah. The eyes. Mm-hmm. He can summon rocks for some reason.
Why not?
I don't know why he doesn't just do that 100% of the time. It's like forgetting you know how to fly, and you're like, oh shit, I guess I should just fly. Like, anytime you're in trouble, go ahead and summon those rocks, man. This would be helpful.
He's a gentle giant.
He has to be remembered be reminded at the end. Oh, by the way, Ludo, now would be a good time to summon rocks. And he's like, oh yeah,
a spot on Ludo, by the way. Then Sarah figures out the way to get through the door. She plugs the nose so the door.
That was clever.
I said, excellent strategy,
Way to
Sarah.
go.
You did it.
And just the acting in general from Jennifer Connelly. Mm-hmm. Well done.
Sure.
Because either this is like nothing is there, you're reacting to things that are supposed to be bigger than they appear, or like, I mean, I think she was actually 16 at the time as well.
Oh, okay.
So kudos to her.
Yeah.
I mean, she's doing a great job.
Yeah.
She's overly dramatic at the beginning, intentionally so.
Yeah.
Like I think so many people with like Stranger Things are like, man, these kid actors are amazing.
Right.
She's really knocking it out of the park. Yeah. This is a tough role.
Yeah.
I wonder who else could have even pulled that off in that time frame. Yeah. I don't know if there are any casting what ifs, but
there are, but I didn't see any with her. The ones I found weren't related to her.
Okay. Like a Muppet that is swapped out for another Muppet.
Yeah. Cookie Monster was going to be Ludo, but Ludo just
Big Bird
had a great audition. Yeah.
Well, good for him.
Another aside quote, but this one that I really didn't catch on to at all. Like I didn't understand the meaning is Bowie has, I keep just calling Bowie, Jareth has Toby on his lap, and Toby burps, and Jareth's response is, "You're welcome." And then you zoom into the scene, he's not feeding him.
Yeah.
Just a joke that I didn't catch on to. My own.
Is it even a joke?
It seems it's delivered like it's a joke, but I
it's probably just David Bowie talking.
That could be
brilliant. Leave it.
Maybe he didn't even know he was on camera. Like they're just running. He's like, oh, okay, I guess. All right, here we go.
Well, the camera's probably pointed directly at his junk, and so no one's even listening to what he has to say.
He's not worried about it either. He's like, listen, just get the money. Get the money. This will sell the movie. We'll add some goblins and shit. It'll all come together. Then we get the scene with the red feathered creatures passing the heads around again. Just popping up the scenes from my childhood. All the memories are coming back full force.
I wish we had video right now. You are just so happy and smirking.
True joy. You will not. This movie is the exact opposite experience of Blank Check. This is true joy.
And we have swapped positions. I am you in Blank Check. I'm not even like. I was thinking about how to frame this coming here is like. I'm not angry.
I'm just disappointed.
I'm not even disappointed. I'm almost like indifferent.
Yeah. This movie has blown you away to the sense of nothingness.
I don't think that's the case. It's like I don't have strong emotions about. I'm just like, what just happened? Like someone just happened, someone blinds like sucker punched me in a field, and now I'm just like waking up slowly, coming out of it. Like, where am I? Yeah. What just happened? I don't even know.
That's
I don't
fine.
even know.
It's left you awash in so many emotions that you just don't know how to feel. That's fine.
It's just one. It's indifference.
And then we go back. We're introduced to the Bog of Eternal Stench, which again, if I am anything, I am a 8-year-old boy in a scene with lots of farts and burps.
Lots of them.
Endlessly. It's only going to make me laugh. I had to write down multiple times. The bog just doesn't stop. I can't stop laughing, and I had tears rolling down my face because I was laughing so hard. So if I may pull up the scene, for us to enjoy.
Careful, Ludo.
So, Ludo, wait for me. Oh, Ambrosius. It's all right, Ambrosius. You can come out now. Come on. Atta boy. My loyal steed. Steady. Hop. Forward. Steady, boy. Come on, Ambrosius. Just close your eyes and go.
Let's get out of here.
Yeah, let's get out of here. My thoughts exactly.
There's nothing.
You're right.
There's nothing that brings me more joy.
There is nothing.
I have no words but just all laughter and joy. Oh my God, that scene. The Bog of Eternal Stench. Are you inferring to me that Cameron and Carter did not laugh at the Bog of Eternal Stench?
There was no laughter. Cam asked me if real bogs farted, and I said no, and then we just moved on with our night.
Okay. So then we slide into this other plot line that I did not remember that felt much more nefarious, which was Bowie there's the dance scene where everyone's all dressed up.
I'm glad you brought that up.
And Bowie is either falling in love with her or trying to get her to fall in love with him. And I just wrote in all caps, I do not remember this part of the movie.
So this is honestly something that I did not think was an issue for that reason.
Yeah.
To me, I thought it was just him trying to like distract her.
Okay. So that could very well have been
make her forget.
Right.
My question was, how does she know that something is off and she has to smash the glass with a chair? Like they're dancing. She goes to the edge. She sees like her reflection. It's weird.
Yeah.
But then she pieces together that, I'm inside an orb. I should smash this with a chair. Again, these are some of these plot points that like, she has way more knowledge than the audience is aware of. And then it's just like, it happens. No explanation. We're just like, oh, haha, moving on. It just seems.
Just fell apart there.
Yeah.
This is, if I'm looking at this through my 36-year-old eyes and ears and trying to piece together a sense of this movie, it is like, here's a bunch of pretty scenes, visually look good, high production value, some jokes, and we'll connect them because a Labyrinth is just like lefts and rights. And so it's like, we can, at the very least, we could probably still make this all make sense. But when you look at some of the like history behind it and all the things that it comes from, there's way more sense to this that it's not being explained to us, but it's all coming from something. It's not like they just are winging it, which is even kind of more surprising because there's so much going on.
Well, then maybe great screenplay, poor execution.
Maybe.
But it just seems like there's so much. I either need less or more. Like, make it less sensical.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they shouldn't even have had a plot. Like all of a sudden she's in
just
this
there.
world. Yeah. But having to try and make sense of it, it seemed like they knew the characters they wanted to have.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, don't even bother with the story. We'll just figure it out as we go.
Yeah.
And
Bowie
that's
song.
very much what it feels
Fart
like.
joke.
Yeah.
End. Roll credits.
Right. Here we
Yeah.
go.
10 out of 10. No notes. And then this is where I wrote at this point. There's so much production value in this movie. No wonder it cost $25 million. I mean, like you said, you see where the money
There's a
went.
lot going
Yeah.
on.
This isn't like Bowie's budget was 20 million and we spent the other 5. Like it's all there.
And the labyrinth, like every tunnel and hallway, even when she like falls down a little chute, like there is so much.
Well, and
there.
for this movie being in the 80s too, you have to think like, oh, this movie done today, there's so many ways like this, but the MC Escher scene, like so many things you're like,
it's real.
To your point, like not only did they have to do this scene, did they put this together, but they did it probably 30 times, however many times in this movie to get this movie the way it was. So it took a lot of work to make this movie the way it was for you to not like it, Jim. So you just remember that.
And that's impressive. It is.
You gotta
There's
respect the game. You gotta respect the game.
100%. And I do. Like again, I'm not a Jim Henson hater.
Mm-hmm.
And if you ask me like if I recommended the movie, no, I don't. But I still.
Do you recommend the viewing experience? Do you not recommend it as a film, but as something to just be watched and then so you can say you have experienced it and that is all?
I think I described it to you as an adorable car crash. Like
so it's still adorable. The word I heard was adorable.
Like,
and you want to see adorable things, don't you, Jim?
Again, you can't see that your own child is ugly. But if you had a dumpster fire and you dumped a garbage truck full of stuffed animals into it, that's like what you're viewing. These Muppets are impressive. They're also super unnecessarily hideous and terrifying. I don't know why they had to make them so freaky looking.
Because they're all the bad guys. If they're all cute,
but they're not. At the end, they're dancing in her room. They're not.
Because you think at first they are, and then eventually you love them.
It's seriously like the stuff of Nightmare. I'm shocked that I didn't have a nightmare as a grown adult.
You wait for the night. It's never the night of. It's like a couple nights after. It's
like working out. You feel. It's not that day.
It's going to burrow itself into your subconscious, and the dream you're going to have in like 4 days is going to be wild.
Crap, I can't
Call
wait.
me up. I can't wait for the midnight call.
Tripping on acid.
Oh, Jared. No, not the orb.
Not the moose knuckle.
Hoggle. And then we get the whole Jareth's world is collapsing. He throws the orb, and I wrote, has he ever thrown a ball in his life? Because that throw is pretty pitiful, but it's Bowie. I'll let it slide. It's
maybe he was using his non-dominant hand.
It could be. It's what
we
it
don't
looked
know.
Like. I'll give him a pass because he gave us such good performance throughout the movie that we'll give the bad ball throw a pass, as you said, as we both
all
agreed.
The good orb work too I saw was done by like a dancer or something. Like it was
like professional juggler.
It wasn't a special effect. It just wasn't David Bowie.
So I read that early on in the movie. So then I was like specially tuned into it, and I was like, actually, even knowing it, they're doing a pretty good job. Like it's not
glass ball with a glove on. That's
well, I'm saying
slippery.
the juggling is very impressive, but I'm saying they're doing even the
framing.
Scenes, yes, they're framing in a way where I'm like, I know it is fake, but it's not so ridiculously like you can see it, but
I mean they put the camera in a position where you're like, okay, this could be him.
But
doing
even
it.
there was a straight on scene where you kind of see him from far away, and it's coming when he's like blowing them away, and and I can see his arm, and I'm like, now I know it's not him, but it's as close as it can be.
Even more impressive though that someone is either behind him or under him doing
just
that.
Like this, blindfolded, like, oh shit, is that right? Yeah, that looks good. Yeah. That's how good he is at it. He's just like, let's go. All right.
And if you drop that glass ball, $3 million of this budget could have just been on glass balls that keep breaking.
And then the line that you mentioned earlier, we get, love me and I will be your slave. And I said, I don't know if I like that so much. And then all the goblins and creatures in a room, nice happy ending. Buttons it up. 10 out of 10. No notes.
Is there a decimal? 10.0. I got it. Okay.
So casting options. So that we've done a couple episodes in this season where there haven't been any. I was kind of getting disappointed because I was like, I would really love to get some of that.
Yeah.
And then lo and behold. So for Jareth.
Yeah.
The only person that I found notes for, if you could think of other people on Bowie's level at that time.
Freddie Mercury.
So surprisingly not on the list.
Okay.
But Mick Jagger, Prince, Sting, Michael Jackson. Can you imagine this movie with Michael Jackson playing Jareth?
I can't imagine it with any of those people.
I will say, and then I started thinking about Michael Jackson in the role, and then you think about his later life,
boy.
and then it does feel a little more nefarious. But even just
Especially
the thought,
holding Toby.
well,
Ooh.
and all the I'll be your slave, and all, it's just like, but of all those people, I could maybe like Mick Jagger feels kind of David Bowie-ish, so fine, he can sing, and like he kind of has the same presence as David Bowie. I feel like
you need weirder though. Like
yeah.
as much as I don't like this movie, and let's be clear, I don't. But would this work with
Somebody
someone?
else.
Yeah, I think David Bowie is. It's like when you watch a sequence in an old movie and you're like, well, that makes no sense. But it sounds like this entire movie for you.
Right.
You're like, yeah, but that's the time.
Right. That is this movie. Like even if you swap people
100%.
out, it wouldn't change it.
You just go, it's the 80s.
That's
and
true.
everyone's like, oh, now I get it.
Yeah.
That's David Bowie to a T. And so putting anyone else in that role, it just seems like...
Yeah, this movie feels very different with Sting or Michael Jackson.
I would say it doesn't work.
Yeah. And so Jim Henson preferred Sting until his kids convinced him that David Bowie, who was at the peak of his popularity, would be best suited to do it. And Bowie at the time wanted to make a children's movie, like the concept, found the script funny, and off you were.
Wow.
So it all came together. So there's an alternate universe where we've got Sting.
I can't see that. I cannot see that.
That blew me away. So for Trivia Facts Mythology, we talked about George Lucas, Jim Henson, Terry Jones are all involved in the making of this. Like you said, this is the first movie, like one of the first movies with the CGI opening like that.
I think it was the first movie with CGI.
And while it was the first movie of that, I found out it was the last feature film Jim Henson directed before he passed away. So excuse you when you asked me dead or alive. So George Lucas chose not to do any interviews during the release of this movie as to not steal Jim Henson's thunder, who was at the time one of his best friends until he passed away.
Oh,
so that was nice.
Good for Georgie.
Yeah, that was a nice little touch. Ludo, the Ludo rig, weighed over 100 pounds. Jim Henson went back to the drawing board, said it needs to be lighter, and they only got it down to 75 pounds. But
wow,
two different actors had to split the performance. Rightfully so, because you're wearing fucking 100 pounds of an outfit. Yeah. One of the reasons, so Hoggle is kind of always groaning through the movie. He's like, yeah, that was purposeful. One of the reasons he is always making groaning noises is because when he's groaning, his mouth is opening, and the actor can look out of Hoggle's mouth to see where she's going.
Yeah, I read that she is a little person.
Yeah.
And that makes sense. Like I was watching that then more.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, this seems like an actual person inside a suit.
And then just one of the funny things I enjoyed was the DVD features revealed that Henson and Froud mentioned that the three most difficult things to work with on a movie set: animals, babies, and puppets.
Yeah.
All present.
Let's just do it. All three.
Let's get them all. Any trivia mythology on your end that I missed?
Yes, Nick.
Dead or alive?
And you already alluded to Jim Henson.
Yeah.
That was one of mine. It was a freebie because obviously he is gone, but we also have
foiled
David Bowie, also dead.
Also rest in
And
peace.
so those are two freebies for
It's
you.
fine.
Okay.
2 for 2.
Christopher Malcolm, the father.
He's alive. You gave me two who passed away. He's alive.
Dead.
Oh no!
2014 at 67 years old.
That's young.
Yeah.
I see where this is going, and I don't like it.
Merlin the dog.
I refuse to not only answer this, but to know the answer to this.
Well, I couldn't find the actor, but that dog would be over 36 years old, so I'm going to go ahead and say dead.
If he was a small dog...
He's not. 36?
That's 36 in dog years, right? So he's only like 8.
It's like 127. All right.
good.
And then finally, this was really hard to find Dead or
Hoggle?
Alives. Hoggle. I think she's still alive. The character that
I just
played
meant
Hoggle.
the actual Hoggle.
Oh, the actual Hoggle. Yeah. It was tricky too because you have like the voice of Hoggle
Right.
and the actual person that played it.
Yeah.
The voice of Ludo and the person that was inside the costume.
Sure.
So then I have Frank Oz.
I feel like I should know this. He's passed away.
No, he's alive. You son of a bitch! How dare you?
Wow, I feel like that felt like it probably happened a while ago, and there's a lot of
No, because he was just in Muppet Guys Talking. He's still working on the Sesame Street, man.
Incredible.
Yeah,
What
an
a career.
icon.
Yeah. When he does pass away, there better be parades.
Oh, we're gonna have a memoriam for sure.
I'm problematic.
I think we already touched on some problematics.
Yeah, the last one that I have is when Hoggle gives Sarah the magic peach. He says, "Damn you, Jareth, and damn me too." And I'm like, what?
Damn us all. Yeah.
So that was a little odd.
Yeah.
And also, the damn you. I thought, okay,
Unnecessary.
PG. Yeah, maybe.
Easy Hoggle.
Maybe you could just be like, screw you.
Sure. No, darn
Forget
it.
you.
Yeah. But we touched on the other ones. Bowie's unrelenting package.
It will not quit.
They will not quit. And whether you, again, this is one of those like pre-production things I'd love to just have an ear in the room of like them running through costumes. Like, do we need more? Wait, it's not enough package. We need more package.
That's my. His costume is so specific. You couldn't think of any other costume where he doesn't have to have like just a skin tight bodysuit with a raging boner. And I'm sure as a kid you don't really notice
Absolutely not.
But now I can't look away.
You can't look away. It pulls away.
And I don't know that I want to.
No, that's the thing. It's like, and that's kind of the whole the viewing experience of this whole movie. You're like, I think I'm gonna look away now, but then here I am looking back at it again.
That is a perfect analogy for the movie. That
like David Bowie's package.
I don't want to watch this, and I can't stop.
Well done, Henson and crew.
You got me again.
Yeah. Jareth launching the baby, Hoggle pissing, and Bowie falling for a 16-year-old potential candidates for problematic scenes.
Sequels, prequels, spin-offs, and such.
I'd imagine Dark Crystal has to be.
So
I've never seen it. But
I've never seen it either. So we may need to put that on the list because that's a movie that both of us haven't seen.
But they're handling these orbs a lot. I
just
can't help but think that has something to do with.
So I think it is just connected in that they're both Henson movies and that they're both in that like fantasy, but nothing storyline wise. But based off of the success of this movie once it hit home video and DVD in the early 2000s, Sony Pictures asked the Jim Henson Company to produce a film similar to it. Since Lucasfilm partially owned the copyright of the film, a direct sequel could not be produced. Instead, Neil Gaiman and Dave McKean were approached to produce a film with a similar atmosphere, what would appeal to the same audience. The resulting film, Mirror Mask, received a limited theatrical release in the U.S. in 2005 after premiering at Sundance. Have you ever heard of this movie?
What is the name of it?
Mirror Mask.
Oh, I thought you were mispronouncing Miramax.
Mirror Mask is the name of this movie.
No.
I had never heard of this movie either. Watch the trailer of this movie. For those of you out there, go find the trailer on YouTube for Mirror Mask right now. And then come.
So Mirror Mask?
All one word, Mirror Mask. Explain to me what the hell that movie is.
It's a cross between Alice in Wonderland and Labyrinth, is what it looks like.
I watched that trailer, absolutely blown away. I feel like me watching that trailer is you watching Labyrinth.
Yeah.
But at least I feel like Labyrinth, I can grab onto things. I can try David Bowie's package aside. I feel like there's some meat on the bone. This is like crank the special effects up to 1 million. And then I don't know what else is happening. Obviously, I've not seen this movie, but holy shit. That movie looks absolutely bananas. So in the sequels, prequels, and spin-offs, that's the only one that falls into that category. Although, our first entry into video games, which I did not know, in 1986, 2 video games based on this movie were released, one in Japan and one in the US. Labyrinth, the computer game for Apple II and Commodore 64 for all you old-ass heads out there. My dad had both of those. He had the Commodore 64, but I never played this game. It was the first graphic adventure game developed by Lucasfilm Games that became LucasArts in the 90s. In the game, the player has 13 real-time in-game hours. Real 13 hours to solve the dangerous labyrinth and thwart Jareth's plan. which I thought was amazing because I was like, you
That's
usually play a
awesome.
game, it's like, 13 hours on the clock, but you really got like, whatever, an hour or something. This is 13 actual hours you could play this game.
This sounds like an amazing video game. Okay, maybe that's my problem.
Yeah.
Is this is a better video game than a movie?
Fair.
I'm in for the
Yeah.
video game.
And then the game in Japan is a similar idea. Never got a Western release. The game is for the Japanese version. The game is an action-adventure role-playing game, not unlike Zelda, and it also has a real-time in-game clock. So
I just think solving puzzles to get through a maze.
Yeah.
That lends itself to a video game.
Yeah.
That's probably way better than a movie.
but then you don't get David Bowie
Well, it's
or his package, Jim.
It's got some pros and cons.
So, is it appropriately rated review? I said 74%. No, you're 26% off.
So it should be
100%.
48. Oh.
100. The first 100 with an underline and an exclamation point. I thought 74%. I think this is the highest rated movie we've done. At least it's the
For
first.
both.
I think it's the first. Both IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes were on the same exact number,
Yes.
or even in the ballpark of each other.
Wizard of Oz, I think, was higher.
But that one will be there.
But I mean, so I wrote down. You can even look at my notes. Do we recommend it? Just
Yes,
read.
we do.
Just read what I wrote.
It says yes, we do. Enjoy.
It says
Thoroughly enjoyable car experience.
I honestly don't know. I honestly don't know because the boys seem to enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
Cam wanted to watch it again tonight. And I watched it again.
I'm going to come over and watch it with Cam and both
I'm
of us just like...
Yeah, still not getting it.
Yeah. I don't know that you will. I don't know that if someone in their 30s watched this movie for the first time is their audience.
I arrived at it too late.
Yeah.
It would be like me trying Pixie Sticks now for the first
Yeah, it'd
time
be
where
horrible.
I'm like, so this is just sugar, right? This is what we... Like
what all the kids love?
there's no nostalgia.
Yeah.
There's no memories or like fun, like you looking at it grinning, being
Right.
like, oh, I forgot they're there. I have none of that. I'm just tasting.
You're like, who the hell is this now?
I'm tasting the raw sugar going, okay, this,
Just a spoon.
I'm going to get acid.
Of sugar
I'm going to
makes
get
the-
acid reflux now, guys. Come on.
And that's fair. So here we are with two entirely different viewing experiences. Like you said, one from
Yes.
childhood, one as an adult. And I think it's the perfect encapsulation of this movie. Someone watching this movie later on in life, it's nonsense. Why am I watching this? But you're also watching because you're like, what's happening?
Yep.
What's going to happen next?
Right.
Whereas someone who watched this as a kid, please, I would love to hear anyone who watched this movie who hated it as a kid. But watching as a kid, when you've got the Muppets and the music and all that, it's like it's checking off all the boxes. And I'm imagining what Cam is going through watching this movie now is very similar to what I went through as a kid. Like, I want to watch it again. I don't know. Just put it on. Just put this movie on.
Yeah.
Again. So yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Whether you like this movie or not, watch it at least once, and watch it with your kid, and then watch them watch the movie.
Come on over to Nick's.
There will be a premiere of it every night from now until henceforth, and every Saturday morning when pancakes are being made, you will drive by and hear dance, magic dance, cranked, full volume.
Great.
Thank you for listening. Please follow, rate, review, like, and subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else you listen to podcasts. Follow us on social media. Tune in next week when we review another cinematic masterpiece from our childhood. Until then, your mother is a friggin' aardvark.